And just like that, we are back. We are back. Welcome to Chats with Friends, the podcast. I am your host, Kiana Jackson. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for clicking on my face if you're watching on YouTube, or thank you for tuning in audio via Spotify or Apple Music, however you are listening. Thank you for listening. So we're here. It is, as you can see, your girl is a little bit dolled up. I put that ish on today because I just came back from a musical. I am a theater girl. As you all may or may not know, I am a theater girl. So on Sunday afternoons, you can mostly find me at the theater, darling. So I went to a musical today. Revolutions was the musical at the Goodman Theater. I am a member of the Goodman Theater. Shout out to the Goodman Theater for celebrating all the arts by way of plays and musicals and things like that. It's an amazing theater. It puts on some amazing shows. But anywho, the Revolutions was chef's kiss. It was so unexpected. I had no clue. That's the thing about me. I oftentimes don't know what I'm signing up for when I sign up for things. I will find a thing and I will just go to it if it looks interesting. It was a great performance. I believe it has an extended run. So if you're in the Chicago area and you have an opportunity to check out Revolutions, I strongly, strongly encourage you to go do so. Let this be your sign to go see Revolutions at the Goodman Theater. So yeah, that's why I am all dressed up with my brooch. And yeah, so that's why I am dressed up today. But anywho, today I'm coming to you with what I am entitling News That You Care About. So it's this new thing I'm trying. It's this new segment, and I'm pulling stuff from the headlines that I think are interesting to me, that I know will be interesting to you, and things for us to just chop it up about. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about some of the things that are in the news today. But before we do that, I cannot go any further without acknowledging what is happening in these United States streets. Because what? Because what? There are some unspeakable and horrific circumstances that are unfolding all around us in our communities, people that we love, people that we may or may not know. It is just wild. I mean, I struggle to find the words to even communicate what is happening or what I'm experiencing or trying to understand what is happening. I just can't find the words. Literally, U.S. citizens are being kidnapped off of our streets, thrown in vans by masked men and women, I'm assuming. I don't know, they're masked, so who knows? Our military is being used against us in our cities, on our streets. Food insecurity by way of our government shutting down and opposing the funding of SNAP benefits and things that would provide food and basic necessities for its citizens. People losing their jobs and being furloughed, and being asked to work without pay. So that's TSA, air traffic controllers, essential workers are being asked to work without pay. Meanwhile, during this shutdown, our legislative folks are still getting paid. Congress is still getting paid. ICE is still getting paid. And it's just alarming, I guess, to say the least. It is alarming. We don't have money, they're saying, whoever they are, to fund these things, but we have money for ballrooms. We have money to send to other countries. We have money for elaborate and extravagant vacations and golfing and all of these sort of things. And meanwhile, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And these folks are playing in our faces and playing with folks' lives and their livelihood. And I found myself at times over the last several months clutching my pearls, saying to myself, I cannot believe this is happening. Oh my God. How is this happening? How is this being tolerated? How is this being allowed? How is this being supported? And the truth of the matter is, the United States has always been about this shit. Like, this is not new. This is not new. This is just a different day. Same shit, different day. Different timeline. Different players. But it's a repeat of the same thing. And so, which is not encouraging, but it's just like the real of what it is that we are navigating. And I think the part that's most troubling for me and for folks that I've been in conversation with about it all is it's just in your face, right? It's just everywhere we turn, click of our phones, we can just see the blatant disregard right in our faces. And which, in previous generations and previous iterations of this, the information wasn't accessible, and it wasn't as in our faces as it is now. And so with that, I'm not going to go on some political rant because that's not my vibe, that's not my thing. But I think it's worth acknowledging that people are suffering, that the world is in shambles, there's chaos and mayhem everywhere that we turn, and I'm just glad I know Jesus. I think that is when I sit down and I sort of think about it and what's happening and why it's happening. I don't have the answer to that, but I do know that I'm just glad that I got Jesus. That's what I'm glad about. And that's the thing that I think is holding me and sustaining me during some very dark times. To have something to hold on to have some hope in the God who created us all. And so I can only hope and I can only believe that all things, not some, but all things are and will work together for the good. So that's what I'm trying to hang my hat on as we turn the pages of the news and we see death and destruction everywhere. So I just want to park that here for a moment before we get into the news and just acknowledge what's happening and be a source of inspiration and hope to those who are listening, who are watching, that it is going to get better. It has to get better. So with that being said, we're going to just get into the news, and it's going to be a little what's the word I want to use? Like entertainment and education a little bit. So edutainment, that's my new word. Edutainment for the next few minutes that we're together. We're going to pull a couple of stories from the headlines, way more lighthearted than what the rant I just went on. But by way of news, one of the things that I've seen very prominent in the news for a while now, but I think I've seen a lot more of it just recently, is this idea of digital detoxing or unplugging from the internet world. And sometimes folks are really loud about their exits from social media, like making an announcement, posting, understand it, but I think there are some things that I'm not supposed to understand. I just don't understand why you just can't just log off, right? I don't understand why folks have to make announcements about logging off, but anywho, that's none of my business. It's just a thing that I noticed that some folks are loud about their exits from social media, but there is a desire, I think, that the world that we live in, the rate in which we are getting information is way too fast and way too much and overwhelming, and you just need to disconnect from it sometimes. So with that said, I had to do the goddamn same thing, right? When I tell you I was crashing out on a daily basis, literally crashing out on a daily basis. And every time I logged on social media, it was just death and destruction and chaos and fear and unprecedented time. I don't know why my nose always wants to run when I'm recording. I have no idea why my nose wants to run. But anywho, so pardon, I'm sorry. Death and destruction. It was a lot. And I was so dysregulated. My nervous system was so out of whack. And I noticed that when I felt the most dysregulated or when I felt the most misaligned or sad or angry was as a result of what I was consuming from social media. And so I was like, Kiana, you probably need to put social media down. You probably need to go ahead and give yourself a little breaky poo. Now, I have been on social media so I'm dating myself, and I'm not afraid of my age. But I was in the MySpace era, and then I was very, very active on Facebook and have been on Facebook. Gosh, I should probably look and see how long when I joined Facebook, but it's been a long time. Anywho, it's been a long time. And then as Instagram came along, I got on Instagram, and then I was kicking and screaming against TikTok. And I was like, if my grandson is on TikTok, I definitely don't need to be on no goddamn TikTok. And so I was adamantly opposed to it for a very long time until I finally came around. Now, I really only use TikTok for like recipes for the most part, but I can sometimes find some useful information on there that I find funny, or I do love the sort of casualness of TikTok, whereas Instagram feels more curated and it feels more aesthetically pleasing and all the things. So I say all of that to say that I've been in these social media streets for a really long time. And for all the time, all the years that I've been on social media, I had never got off. I had never deliberately got off of social media with intention and being explicit about it and having a mission and a vision behind it. And so this was the time. This was the time I was so dysregulated. I was so sad. I was so out of whack. I was so out of sorts. I couldn't sleep. It was a lot. So that was the thing that I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do to get myself back on track, to get myself regulated, to get my nervous system. The devil is a liar. Yeah. Every time I get on this mic, everything around wants to start. Anywho, it was bad. So I logged off and I didn't make an announcement about it. I told a couple people. I told my friends. I told my therapist. And for one, because I was like, oh my God, now that I'm not on social media, how am I going to know when the world ends? Like, who's going to tell me? How am I going to know? How am I going to know what's happening? And I felt this pull in moments when I got off to like peek in. And I didn't. I was very much committed to not being on, but I noticed how it felt in my body to not be on, right? Like there was this feeling of like relief in so much that I could almost immediately feel myself calm down. Like I could feel the temperature in my body calm down. But I also started to be anxious about not knowing. I had this anxiousness around what I didn't know, which was weird. Weird to be anxious about not hearing about chaos is wild. And knowing how social media made me feel in my body and how I was reacting to it, the fact that it was hard for me to let go of and or leave something that I knew wasn't good for me or that wasn't working for me, that's a sermon for a whole different day. It's a sermon for a whole different day. But it was just interesting that I noticed how hard it was for me to stop doing something that I knew was not serving me or that did not work for me or that didn't make me feel good. So that was some learning. But eventually I was able to get myself smoothed out, to trade off social media, like downloaded Bible trivia. I downloaded jigsaw puzzles. I downloaded dominoes. I downloaded spades. I downloaded all these games to keep myself busy, because what I noticed when I got off was when I would reach for social media when I was bored, when I was at a stoplight, when I was in line at the grocery store, when I was waiting in line at Costco for gas, when I'm at the lobby of my dentist appointments. Those moments where it was just like downtime or I was bored or whatever was those moments where I noticed where I was reaching for social media. And so I was like, how can I replace this with something that's useful and something that is going to nourish me, something that's going to feed me, something that's going to make me feel better, something that is just going to elevate me. And so I added those things to my life to sort of replace that doom scrolling and replace feeding myself with all this information. I started reading books again. So I started reading again. I started studying my Bible again. I got through my Bible study, my Ephesians Bible study. Shout out to Jackie Hill Perry. And just trying to use my time to feed my mind, my body, and my soul with things that actually felt good. As the days and weeks went on, I noticed that I was reaching for social media less and less. My heart stopped racing as much. I started sleeping better. My nerves calmed down. I found new ways and things that I like and enjoy and found joy in. And I literally shut the world out, right? It felt good. It felt good to like not be inundated with all of that stuff. Now I realized that decision was riddled and laced with a lot of privilege. To be able to have the privilege to just shut the world out, everybody doesn't get to do that. And so I felt a way about that. It felt icky to just be like, I'm just going to shut the world out. I don't have to care about anything that's going on outside these walls. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I had to do what I needed to do to take care of Kiana, literally. And so like I was in this tussle between like, I feel like I should be more active in my community, be more active in resisting, be more active. Now, what I do know to be true, it is not my ministry to be marching in the streets. That's not my ministry. That is not what I've been called to do in these here unprecedented times. That is not my ministry. However, there are other ways that I can make an impact and make a difference in my community and fight against what's happening. And so just learning what those opportunities are and connecting with people to make a difference in that way was something that I had to do and that I'm still working on doing. But I did have to like deliberately and explicitly take the time I needed to regulate myself, to get myself back on track, to calm my nervous system down, create some joy, distract myself for some time. So that's what I needed to do, and that has felt good to take care of myself and to heal. And as of a couple of weeks ago, I have started to dip my big toe back in social media. Not to the extent that I was before. Now, I used to get, if you have an iPhone, you may get these notices that tell you how much screen time how much time you have been on certain apps and all the things. And my jaw would drop at like, I'm like, how was I on social media for 8 hours? How, Sway? How was I on social media for 8 hours in one day? Like what? Maybe my phone, I don't know, but it was way too much. And so it's good to see that number and that little bar graph for social media is way down and not like up like it was. So I've dipped my toe back in the social media streets. It is still a hot ass mess in the social media streets. However, I feel way more grounded. I feel way more connected. I feel way more regulated. I feel way more just calm. And so I feel like I can navigate these social media streets with a lot more intention and not have me crash out like I was crashing out before. So I feel like when things start to get a little bit hot and I start to feel my heart racing and I know how to turn it off. I know how to click out. I know how to keep scrolling. I know how to turn it off and go do something else versus going down the rabbit holes of trying to see what happened or see what the end is going to be. That was not serving me. That does not serve me. So I notice when that's happening, I know how to stop it. So that has felt good. And what I learned in this time is it's not like I didn't know this before, but things become clearer and clearer over time. But social media is a tool, and it is a good tool. It has its pluses and its minuses, and I think used correctly, it can be, really beneficial. Folks have, changed their lives because of social media. And so I am here for the fact that social media is a tool and I run the tool. The tool does not run me. And there was a time when the tool was running me. That is that. I have a renewed mindset about how I'm going to interact with it, when I'm going to interact with it, how I'm going to interact and navigate it, which feels really good. It feels like growth. And yay to me. Shout out to me for acknowledging what I was feeling in my body. And that hasn't always been a thing, right? That's not something that I was taught to pay attention to growing up as a child. I was always taught to sort of stuff my emotions. That's a sermon for another day as well. But just shout out to Kiana for listening to her body and doing what she needed to do to take care of herself. Yay! Insert hand clap here. All right. On to more news. So as I have been dipping my toe down here in these social media streets, I ran across an article. Now, keeping it a buck, I didn't read the article. I just saw some clips and I had just heard what the folks was talking about down there in the internet streets about what British Vogue, I believe it was, put out an article, something around boyfriends are embarrassing. Now, with that title, I can imagine that was intentional to make that the headline, but there was all kinds of think pieces about that particular article down in the social media streets. Now, I didn't read it again. I saw some clips online and to sort of give me the Cliff Note version of what was happening. And I'm not going to go into all of the details of the article, but how I sort of looked at that or thought about what folks were talking about in reaction to that article and my own life, my own experiences with boyfriends. Yeah, boyfriends are and can be embarrassing. As I said in my last episode, my last relationship ended in July of 2021. It is November 2021. I don't know why that is so funny to me. And I have literally not dated. I have not dated since. I've never been able to say that in all of my 53 years. I've never been able to say that I've not dated anyone in this long ass length of time. Anyway, since then, for all those years since that last relationship, until most recently, I swore off dating. I was not interested in anybody's ashy ass son. I'm just, it's a no. It's a hard pass. It is a absolute and definitive no for me. Right. And I was very, very vocal about that. Yeah, I just was like, it's a no. Now, there's a tag. I'm pretty sure there's a tag stabbing me in my side. Lord, today when you're trying to be cute, you see what happens when you're trying to be cute. Anyway, I've had some good relationships. I've had some good relationships. And I've had some not so good relationships. But one thing's for sure and two things are for certain. The common denominator in all of those relationships, be it good or bad, was who? Kiona Yvette Jackson, Peaches, was the common denominator. And so I could say what I want to say about the people that I've dated in the past. But the truth is that I was a willing participant in all of it. In all of it. In all of them. In all the good and all of the bad, I was a participant in it. So I can put the blame and I can say what I want to say about XYZ person. And what's also true is that I was a participant in it. And when I look back at those relationships and when we talk about boyfriends being embarrassing, when I read that, or not when I read it because I didn't read it, when I heard the think pieces on it, and it was very much centering how men are showing up or not showing up in relationships. That's embarrassing, right? That's the long and short of the article. I began to ponder on myself and how I've shown up in relationships. And when I look back, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed at myself. I'm embarrassed at the things I tolerated. I'm embarrassed at the things, how I let these men play in my face, how I let them lie, how I let them, just all of the things that I allowed, the things that I tolerated. I did not, how I did not require accountability, how I let these Negroes gaslight me and make me feel like I was the problem. Mostly what was most embarrassing is how I decentered myself, decentered my feelings, decentered my needs, all for the comforts and needs of my partner. It was my mission to make sure that he was okay and that he was comfortable and that he had everything that he needed. And I recall back when I was married, my ex-husband and I went to therapy. And I remember the therapist at the time said, if you both are taking care of each other, then neither of your needs are being met. So if you are giving her what she needs and she's giving you what you need, then everyone's needs are met. And I don't know if I somehow or another just kind of took that message on in all of my relationships and sort of leaned into this idea of making sure that their needs were being met. Yeah, I think I took that into, my relationships. Post that, forgot about or left out the part where they were supposed to pour into me. And then also embarrassing, I didn't ask. I didn't use my voice. I didn't say this is what I need. But then there was those times when I did say and voice what I needed and it was met with resistance, or it was met with, being dismissed, or, that sort of thing. So, and I let that slide. I let that happen. I let people treat me the way that they treated me. And in hindsight, that's embarrassing. It's very embarrassing to me, but you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. And so I'm now at a point in my life where I've healed from that or am healing. I think healing is a constant. I think there are things, just when you think you've healed from a thing, there's something else you got to heal from. Or you think you've healed from a thing. Now, just keeping it a buck, I have not been in a relationship for so long. So all this healing that I've done, it will be tested when I'm in a relationship, right? Right now, it's easy, right? But when I'm in a relationship and it's actually tested, that will be the true sign of how well I've healed on some things, right? But I say that to say that healing is a constant. I think that as we experience life, so much of my childhood, trauma from my childhood is surfacing itself now as a 53-year-old woman that I'm like, what? How, Sway? Like, how? How is that even a part of my life now? But the way that these things sneak up and the messages that we've taught or the things that we experienced as children very much affect us as an adult. So if you aren't and haven't been to counseling, go. This is your sign to go to therapy. Go to therapy. Every single solitary human on this planet has been through some shit and needs to process it in some way. And then if you look outside, what? How are we even surviving in this climate without therapy? This is way above my pay grade. This is for the professionals because I say all that to say, go to therapy. That is what I'm saying. Also, I feel like I have evolved. I have healed. I have come along, and I want to give myself the credit that I deserve for navigating and getting myself to where I am now. It took a lot of work, years of work for me to get here, for me to even laugh about these things and chuckle about these things and find some levity in some of the things that I'm talking about with respect to relationships is a growth area for me. So I am super proud of I am to the point here in November of 2025 that I am open to a conversation with someone's ashy son. I am open to a conversation. I am open to this conversation because I have done a lot of work. I have done some healing. I have been through some processes that have me in a space and a place where I know the questions to ask. I can see certain things with a lot more clarity than I could see them before. I know that I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it. But I just am better prepared, right? And I want to be married again. I've been married once, engaged twice. Now, married once, engaged twice, and now I'm single. So I want to be married again. I feel like, I don't know that I can say that I've always wanted to be married, but I feel like I got married so young and I didn't know shit. Neither my ex-husband or I didn't know. We didn't know shit. We were new. We were young. We were new parents. My ex-husband is a pastor, and so he was pastoring a church. He still pastors. But it just was a lot for I was 19. We didn't know nothing. We was broke. We ain't had no money. It was a lot. It was a lot. And so I'm like, I would love to be married under different circumstances where I'm grown and where I have my head on my shoulders and where, life is just, the conditions of life are different and not as stressful. Not that life is not stressful in and of itself, but just I would love to be married under different conditions. And I'm not looking for unicorns and rainbows because I know that that's not real, but I feel like at this big age, who I am now and the evolved Kiana inside of a relationship, what I've learned about relationships, I think I want that. I want that. And I know that I can't get that if I don't want to talk to nobody's ashy son. So, and maybe he's not ashy, but I'm just saying. So I know that I have to at least be open. And so I'm open. Now, I will say, sir, when and if you approach me, be prepared for the slew of questions that I have in my phone to ask you. Because what I do know about myself and previous relationships that I've been in, I wasn't asking the right questions, if I was asking any questions. So just be prepared to engage in some conversation with me. So as I said, I'm open to having a conversation, but your conversation has to be more than where we're going to go eat, the weather, my favorite color, how pretty I am. You got to come ready to actually engage in a dialogue and a conversation. The very first question I'm gonna ask is, do you love God, and who are you accountable to, and who are your friends? Those are my top questions, but I digress. Yeah, so I'm open. And are some boyfriends embarrassing? Yes, but I think some girlfriends are embarrassing also. So I'll speak for this girlfriend. I'm not speaking for no other girlfriends. I'm speaking for this girlfriend. And I also, speaking of the word girlfriend and boyfriend, when I think about how I behaved in those relationships and decentering myself and centering my partner, this Negro was not even my husband. This is a boyfriend. We're talking about boyfriend, Kiana. So, if I had to do it all again, I would remember that this is not my husband. So the treatment and the benefits that come with husband do not come with boyfriend. Say it louder for the people in the back. The benefits that come with husband do not come with boyfriend. So there's that. As far as me and my house and me and my relationships, that's how I'm going to conduct myself going forward. Until you are a husband, you will get boyfriend benefits, not husband benefits. So there's that. Lastly, in news that you care about, in these tariff times, we are shopping our closets. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. We are shopping our closets. I love seeing the girlies and the fellas on Beyonce's internet encouraging us to get creative, to shop our closets, to be mindful of overconsumption. Now, I am guilty as charged. Guilty. And that's one of the other things about social media I noticed about myself. I am so easily influenced. And that didn't sit well with my shanana. It just did not. And so in order to mitigate that, I had to get off of social media, because every time I'm on them, now that TikTok that's QVC, because every time I get down to that TikTok, they selling me something that I can't even get on it for 5 seconds, and they're selling me something. I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. But Facebook even and Instagram has just become these marketplaces and I get it. It is sort of the equivalent of a commercial, right? That's what commercials on TV were for, was to get us to buy stuff, right? And to market products. And so now these brands have discovered a new and more impactful way to inform folks about their products and get folks to buy their products. So I get it. I completely understand. But it was just too much. And I'm way too influenced. I found myself taking garbage bags of clothes to Goodwill for stuff that somebody on Beyonce's internet would show me, and I would run down to the internet and buy it. I would click on the link before they could finish the sentence and buy it. And then it would be so cute until it wasn't cute anymore. And then now I'm wasting gas going down to the Goodwill to donate it. And so, Kiana, you have enough of everything. You literally have all kinds of things, a lot of everything. And I could literally take my closet and take this skirt and put it with this shirt and make a whole new outfit, or take these shoes and put it. And there's so much possibility in what I already have and what you already have that we don't need to shop anymore. We're going to shop our closets. And I understand these fashion hauls and things like that, but I'm really loving to see the content that's around being more sustainable. And times are very unstable right now. And so spending money that we don't need to spend. Well, I don't know if I should say we. I'll say me. Spending money I don't need to spend is not, it just doesn't, it feels like I'm not being a good steward, especially when I have a 1,800 plus square foot house filled to the brim. Every closet, every nook and cranny is filled with my stuff, with lots of stuff. And so I literally do not need near another stuff. I don't. It's giving, what is the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? Oh, it's giving, what is it when you're addicted to stuff? That's what I'm trying to say, whatever that word is that I'm trying to say. And so I have addictive tendencies. And so as evidenced by my house and all the things in it. I'm addicted to buying books. I'm addicted to buying shoes, sunglasses, watches, earrings, accessories, blazers. It's my new obsession. And so, Kiana, sit down. So that's what we're doing. We are putting our clothes on. We are dressing for all the reasons and for no reason. We are celebrating life. We are making a difference in our communities. We are paying it forward. We are being kind because we need kindness. We really need kindness. We're learning new line dances. We are creating joy. We are spreading joy, and we are spreading hope. And I don't know how I went from shopping your closet to spreading hope, but it goes together. Just go with me. Go with me. It goes together. So the world is worlding. Life is lifing. Put the clothes on. Get dressed up. Go have fun. Spread joy. Spread love. Be kind. Pay it forward. And just know that this too shall pass. We are going to get through this. I promise. I don't know how. I don't know when. But I believe it. I believe it to be so. So as we head into this week, I encourage you, I want to leave us with this question as we head into the week and we ask ourselves, what's one thing I can choose to care about and what's one thing I can let go of? It might be social media. It might not. It might be certain folks on social media. Whatever it is, I encourage you to take a couple moments and figure out, ask yourself, what's one thing that you can choose to care about and one thing you can let go of, right? It's all about regulating our systems, right? Because we need some regulation. I'm not even going to say. Anyway, that's it for the news that you care about, this new segment. Let me know what you guys think about this. I feel like a lot of my content and things I talk about can sometimes be heavy and be all complex and deep. And it don't got to be deep all the time, Kiona. It don't have to be deep all the time. So I wanted to just bring some levity in some really heavy times that we are all navigating. I want to send you all some love. I want to send you all some light. I want to send you all some hope. I want to send you all some joy. So even when we look outside and we see mayhem, like the Allstate commercial dude, that's how the United States looks right now. It's that Allstate dude, just mayhem. So with that, if you can just create some joy, pour into yourselves, and pour into each other, love on each other, live, laugh, love, and have a good week. Live, laugh, love, and have a great week. Who loves you? Kiana Peaches does. Bye.